Jeff. I've seen your pictures, and I always thought of asking you, did you play basketball because the height and and you mentioned something powerful in your feedback as you are sharing just now, that you experienced some challenges, but the important thing is that you did not let it stop you from becoming who God has called you to be. That's, I think, a remarkable mindset that people can even have, experiencing no matter the challenges that they're experiencing, that they can overcome, because God is not going to give you anything that you cannot handle. So now, Jeff, tell us your experience. Share with us your experience with mental health, how the experiences, the challenges that you experienced, and how things evolve from there.
So, Ibrahim, I think what's really important to start this conversation is to first give an explanation and understanding of trauma, right? And because most people are quick to identify that there's this chemical imbalance and that's causing me to be depressed or have schizophrenia or deal with anxiety. But we're learning that this is a symptom, right, and a side effect to trauma. And so trauma is any time an individual deals with an occurrence, an activating event, and the results of that activating event exceeds that individual's ability to cope. So I'm in a car accident. There's some injuries from the car accident. The car accident may have caused a lot of anxiety and some mental trauma that brought about some fears, and I will do everything within my power to manage it. And so the doctors will help me with the broken bones, and family members will provide support. But there may be this one little thing that is occurring in my life that I'm not able to get over. And I will exhaust all my remedies to try to overcome this thing, but yet not still be able to overcome it. And this is when we begin to recognize that this has become what most identify as a disorder, right? Because it's long lasting and it continues to go on. And in spite of what I do, I can't just seem to get over the hump. And so I think what I will tell you is that growing up, living in the communities that I lived in and doing some of the things that I did, that my life experienced a lot of trauma, right? Violence in the streets, incarceration, substance use disorder. And what I began to recognize is that the trauma that I had incurred had exceeded my ability to overcome it with my coping abilities, that they were far beyond what I was able to do to cope with them. And so it required a higher level of care and a greater form of access to care in order to find some sense of normalcy, right? In order to be able to find myself able to go through life and be able to adapt to what was going on in my life. And I want to be able to try to relate this to normal circumstances, because not everyone that lives without mental illness or without a mental health diagnosis may understand what I'm talking about. So I want to bring it into more layman terms. So if you break a leg, depending on the length of time that you take and the severity of the break, depending on the length of time that it takes you to get to a doctor, could oftentimes be the difference in how close to 100% that leg and that break will heal. If you take longer to get to the doctor, the less likelihood you'll get 100%, right? If the break is extremely severe or FEMA, it could also make the difference in how close to 100% of healing and normalcy that leg will get. And so because I tried to manage the trauma on my own and didn't immediately seek help, the onset of the injury to the time of access to care was lengthy. And it took a lot longer for me to get to care than anyone would probably have thought I should. And I remember going to, doctors with my mother, and the doctor telling my mother that, he'll probably be on meds the rest of his life. I remember hearing doctors tell me that it's likely that you probably won't be able to sustain gainful employment or have healthy relationships because of the noise in my head, you know. And so the trauma that I received was significant, you know, and me trying to sort through and fight through life made it even more difficult without access to care.